Welcome into Sports and Shenanigans, where women's sports and pop culture collide. We're here on the KC Sports Network. My name is Jillian Carol Latrinko. I am your host, and super grateful that you've joined us today. We're powered by Cherry, a women-owned sports and lifestyle brand that has incredible swag, wants to keep you stylish while supporting women's sports. And today, ladies and gentlemen, the champ is here. I am so pumped. It was a busy weekend for League One Volleyball, or better known as Love Volleyball, with their first ever championship. And guess who's joining us? One of those champions. We have superstar middle blocker for Love Austin. This is Molly McCage. Molly, I'm so grateful that you're here today, specifically just a day or two after your big win. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm just a little bit tired, but for all the best reasons. Yeah, it was a great weekend. I love that we're champions now. So thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, I'm so pumped to hear your take on the weekend, your take on volleyball in general. You are a pros pro with a healthy resume that I'm so excited that I've had a chance to learn a little bit about your career, Molly. But first and foremost, let's just talk about the championship. It was a sweep, 3 sets, right? So just talk to us. This was an exciting match. Share with us some of the highlights from your perspective.
Yeah, the entire weekend I felt like was a month long, but it started on Thursday, the quarterfinals against Salt Lake, and that was a reverse sweep. So we lost the first 2 sets and came back and won the next 3. Won in the fifth, 18-16, which is the most wild game I think I've ever played in my entire career. And I played a long time. So to go do sets, every single set, I think luck was on our side that game, but like that was the most testing match I think I've played in my career, obviously throughout the entire season. Kudos to Salt Lake. They were amazing this season. And then the very next night, we played against Atlanta, number 1 seed for a reason. Very, very strong. Always in system. They were like 65% in system, which is a really high stat. It was hard. Those first 2 sets, I was like, I don't really have an answer because they're pretty perfect right now. So we've, again, dropped the first 2 sets and came back and reverse swept them as well. So the fight that this team has of just, I remember looking at, some of the girls on our bench and I was like, yo, I'm tired. I'm tired. And they're like, yeah, but you have to go out swinging. Like this is our moment. It's either do or die. Like at this point, why not? Why not us? And having that underdog mentality, which is not to brag or anything, but I haven't been on underdog teams in my entire, So switching that mindset of just like, we're just going to go out swinging. That semifinal win, I was like, oh, no, I think we're actually going to win now. And then Omaha, also the underdogs. We were the 5th seed. They were the 6th seed. We've played them in the finals. And how I said Atlanta was perfect, we were perfect. And those first 2 sets, we were perfect. Everybody was hitting for a high number. Carly Lloyd came in and set a perfect match. The 3rd set kind of freaked me out a little bit because Omaha also was like, why not us? Let's come out swinging, because they also got to the finals with a reverse sweep. But luckily our team held on, and man, it took the entire team, the entire coaching staff, everybody associated with Love Austin to get that win.
Well, congratulations. And I love hearing from your perspective the entire weekend. So thank you for that synopsis, because it really, truly is just an electric sport. I went to 1 weekend of love volleyball play in Kansas City. I was blown away. Just the dynamic athleticism you guys possess is incredible. The power, and it's amazing. So love to hear your take on the weekend, and now you're the first ever champion. But you kind of alluded to this, you're no stranger to lots of success, lots of championships. We have to give you your flowers, and I have to go to my notes for this one because, Molly, you've done a lot, which I love. So this is your 8th year as a pro, is that correct? 8 years? That's amazing. And I think what's so cool is that you truly have been such a trailblazer in the world of volleyball as it is growing here stateside. So let's go to big wins at University of Texas, just casual national championship in 2012, right? That's amazing. You certainly left your mark there. You're still top 5 in multiple areas on the record books. You've represented Team USA twice at the Pan American Games, collecting a gold medal in 17 and in 18. And then this whole entire career over in Germany, which is amazing. In 3 seasons, you picked up 3 medals, so a bronze, a silver, and a gold. You were named league's best blocker 2 years. And then you have been a critical piece of Athletes Unlimited, which I feel is so unique. So if you don't mind, I'll let you kind of share that, because that is a kind of a different way of evaluating volleyball players. And it's really a big piece of the growth of the game, isn't it?
It really is, and thank you for saying that. It's Athletes Unlimited is a very short season. So back in 2021 was our first season, and it was the only opportunity to play professionally in the US at the time. So if you had any other aspirations to play professionally, you had to go overseas. The thing about Athletes Unlimited is it is 5 weeks of competition, and it's a draft style. So every single week, the top 4 point scorers, there's a leaderboard. The top 4 point scorers get to choose their teams. And so the teams are shuffling every week. It's wild. And it's a very player-led league. So what I mean by that is there are 5 athletes amongst the 44. There are only 4 teams within AU, and 5 of those athletes are on this player executive committee, which I've been on since the beginning. And we recruit the other athletes. So we do talk to agents, but we really just like use our network within the 5 of us. And we are very focused on having most of the decision making go through the athletes, which has been a really, really special thing to be part of. I'm now on the board for Athletes Unlimited as well, which is the first time a sports league has had an athlete on the board. So the fact that AU top down has always been transparent, and that like, hey, what do you feel most comfortable wearing on the court? Is it spandex or is it leggings? And we were like, it's up to the athlete. And they were like, great, you get to choose this time. You don't have to wear something that makes you uncomfortable on the court. Or, hey, what do you think about if an athlete does choose to have a family? At what point do we honor that? And like, do we honor their contracts and then allow them to come back next year? Like, these are conversations that I honestly never thought I could be a part of, and never thought that we could have the option to voice our own opinions. And it's so special because John Patrickhoff and Jonathan Soros, the co-founders of Athletes Unlimited, from the very beginning, they were like, we need you to speak up in these meetings because you are the volleyball expert. And that is why you are here. We are here to build a league and to help you and have these opportunities, but we still need your opinions to build something that is going to be sustainable. I believe that Athletes Unlimited was the jumping off point for these pro leagues. So what's wonderful now is that AU is not the only option. So I'm so fortunate now that I can play in Athletes Unlimited in the fall for 5 weeks, and then I get to play in my Love Austin season. And I'm just surrounded by the best athletes. We all get to come home and play stateside. Like, it's high level competition. If you told me I had this opportunity whenever I was leaving college, I would have been like, well, I'm never quitting. Like, this is the best thing ever. Yeah. And I don't really plan on quitting anytime soon. So.
Well, I love how humble you are also, because I think those founders were accurate in saying your voice is so powerful. And you really have, again, traveled the world playing this game, trailblazing a path for the younger generations to play as well. And I feel like that's probably something that you, no pun intended here, love about Love Volleyball is the youth program that is a piece of that. And again, I think women's sports are so men's sports are amazing, but women's sports, I feel like, are just more dynamic and have had to bob and weave a little bit more as they continue to grow. And Love Volleyball actually does a beautiful job of supporting a young volleyball player from the time they pick up a ball, right? So could you explain a little bit about the unique element as far as like the youth part of Love?
Yeah. So Love actually owns a ton of clubs throughout the US. I don't know the exact number, but a very large amount. And they own the clubs that are within the professional city as well. So funny enough, the club that I used to play at, Austin Juniors, which is wild, my 18s year is where we practice now. And so people connect with, it's super cool. It's super cool to come back home and to like practice in the same facility I did at age 18. And then to also get to know the athletes, the club athletes in the youth space, through love, and showing them that this is an option for you. If you keep playing, you can play professionally as well. If you can see her, you can be her. That was not something that we had at our age growing up. I didn't really comprehend that I could play professionally until junior, senior year of college. I was like trying to figure out what was next. I had no idea, like, what are my options? Started talking to some alumni. I was like, that sounds really scary to just like go overseas, but I guess we're gonna do it, and now it's not so scary, and now it's an option. You can stay in the US. And I love that piece about love because one, I just love connecting with the volleyball community. I think it's such a wonderful and giving community. But two, it's like, yes, you're not just fans, like you can also be us. Like we're here to show you that if you keep playing, like you can also do this job as well. And it is truly the best job, I can confirm.
No, I love that. We've actually had two volleyball players from Love Atlanta juniors. We've had them on the show before, and so we asked them. They're sisters, and they're incredible. Shout out to the Middleton Middles. They're just really already so talented. And they just talked a little bit about how they could not describe the impact of being able to travel to play their games, but also stopping by and watching you, the professionals. And it just really made them like up their game. And to your point earlier, if they can see it, they believe they can be it. So it's just a one piece. And I feel like, again, that's one of the unique elements in women's sports is that it's you all as professional athletes are just incredibly like empowering yourself and your dream, but think about the generations behind you, which is so amazing. I could talk about that forever, but we are going to take a quick break. So Molly, give us a second. We're going to step aside, let our sponsors kind of chime in. Guys, hang with us. We'll be right back after this.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win some real cash during the basketball playoffs? Well, check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition. And yeah, that includes prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6, plus even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. New players get 50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Welcome back in Sports and Shenanigans continues. We are pleased to be joined by Molly McCage of Love Austin, the latest, well, actually the first ever champion, Love Volleyball champion. So excited to be hearing from you, Molly. And I want to take you back to, if you can remember, picking up a volleyball for the first time. Where did that all come from? What inspired you to pursue volleyball? Let's go all the way back to mini Molly and where it all began.
Yeah, so I am the youngest of 5. So I grew up in a family where we were all playing sports. My dad was a basketball coach. My mom actually coached me in cheerleading and dance. So I did that growing up. I also played basketball. I swam. I ran track. But at age 14, my mom saw this ad in the paper, which dates me a little bit, and it was for a summer camp. And I don't know if she was just trying to get me out of the house to do something, or she was like, you might actually be good at this. Either way, I have her to thank. But she took me to this summer camp, and the coach I was running it was a local club coach, and he was like, oh, you might actually have something here. I was 6'2" and like 120 pounds. So like really trying to like get into my body and really understand how to run. But I went to the summer camp and he was like, I think you should try out for our team. And I tried out and I made the top team. I don't know why, because I couldn't even serve a ball over the net. Middle school was also really difficult. Made the B team. It was, yeah, at first I was like, I actually think this might be, out of all the sports that I've played, this might be the worst. I'm the worst at this one. I'm so weak. I can't understand this. The only thing I truly loved was the team aspect. And so I loved hanging out with my friends. Like that was the one thing that kept coming back, or kept me coming back. And I didn't even play on my club team until the very last tournament. And they were like, here we go. Give it a shot. And from then on, I was like, I actually just love the people here. I love that I have so much to learn. That's just still something about volleyball that I'm obsessed with, is that I'm such a student of the game. There are still so many things that I need to learn. I love watching beach volleyball, men's volleyball, like any kind of volleyball, just to up my game and to add more tools to the toolbox. And it's always been such a giving sport to me, and I'm just really grateful to just be a part of this community. And the longer I play, the bigger the community gets. And yeah, I really have to attribute much of it to my teammates. And it wasn't so I went overseas. I played in Germany for 3 years, and I actually experienced some burnout, and I was not confident in my game, and I was trying to figure out how to transition from being a volleyball player to being an adult with a career, and I couldn't figure out what that was. Should it be something in the sports world? Should I just completely do a hard left and figure out something else? And, for a year and a half, I was in LA, just like working odd jobs. And I ended up being offered the director of ops position at Pepperdine with the men's volleyball team. And Marv Dunphy, who had been the head coach there for 30 years, I think is the grandfather of volleyball. He is such a wonderful mentor. And at a period in my life where I thought I had counted out volleyball, he was there to show me that like this game is truly so great. And like the perspective shift of how grateful we are to have this sport in our lives and the people in our lives. And I was like, you know what? Like I still have such a love for this game, and spending time with him showed me that. And I came back, and now I'm just like giddy at practice all the time. Like I'm just stoked to be there. I'm just having fun. I even felt that this past weekend of like, it's so serious and obviously competitive. But then at one point I was just like giggling to myself of like, man, this is still the coolest job. And I'm so happy I get to do this, and just really, really grateful.
I love to hear that it still makes you giddy. Specifically, that's so sweet. And it's just such a big part of it. As women, the opportunities to continue playing a sport we love, professionally, you mentioned it and you lived it. It wasn't always attainable here in the States. You had to go overseas. Obviously, we see women's soccer is thriving. That wasn't always the case. WNBA is thriving. What are your thoughts on just like the general landscape of women's sports, and just the fact that right now this momentum, it's not sports specific. I feel like it's across the board. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm obsessed with it. I think it's like, all women feel it. It's like about time, and because we've been here, like there have been many soccer stars, basketball stars, volleyball stars. I do want to acknowledge the generations of like crazy talented women that did not get the coverage that they deserved. And now we are getting it. And I still am like, but we still have to fight for like even more, because we are just I think whenever you're touching on earlier of like us being so connected to the youth space, there's something about women athletes that like it isn't just our game. Like I love that we all take our craft very, very seriously, but we are also incredible role models. We are also fashionistas. We are also like really great in the media. Like there's so many things that make us like so connected to fans, so connected to the youth community that I think that like we're wildly marketable. But I'm like, why not give us more coverage and investment? Like I am so obsessed with this movement and I just need it to be everlasting and sustainable.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. And I think that I keep hearing a few different quotes kind of in my head, but it's been along the lines of anybody who is invested in women's sports has never lost, right? You invest and it's such a good business plan, number one, right? Because of the thriving, but also it is, just something that should be done. To your point, there have been generations upon generations of talented athletes across the board. You yourself, one of them, you're very humble, but you've lived kind of both the grinding it out and trying to find where you could play. You had to go overseas, come back. Now that it's here, how do you think that we can sustain it? How and who, I suppose, needs to get involved, in your opinion, to maintain the level now, and continue the growth?
Yeah, I love this question because it is asked all of the time. It's always a topic of conversation. I think it comes down to broadcast. We need to be on ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Plus all of the time. All of our games need to be. I hope and I expect more sports networks to invest in Love Austin and Love Volleyball and other women's sports. But I think the standard is being raised and viewership numbers are setting records all of the time. And then I also think that like social media is following that. Like brand partnerships are following that lead, but I think it starts with broadcasts. Like you need to get us on TV. You need to get more eyes and not. So the volleyball community is so wonderful. And then I think the volleyball community is like finally and supporting Love Volleyball. But we need the rest of the world to also follow suit because it is, like you said, such an incredible game. And I think that if people are so obsessed with women's basketball, you will be equally as obsessed with women's volleyball. I promise you.
Yeah. I agree. And it's the same thing with soccer. I think the league's tagline for NWSL right now is just watch. And in my mind, it's like, if you just watch, you will become addicted. And I can attest that. I never played volleyball growing up, but I went to that Love weekend in Kansas City and it was like, this is so exciting. Every single play is so exciting. It's addicting. It really is. It was something that I was like, okay, why have I not been to one of these matches before? I need to keep coming. So it's exciting to see that. You mentioned something that female athletes, there's this level of just being dynamic and being able to do it all. You said marketing, speaking. I also feel like there's just such a sisterhood. And I know that term can be cliche, but other women supporting other leagues. So obviously we just saw Paige Beckers be, drafted number 1 in the WNBA. And over the last summer, we saw her out at a soccer game wearing the Washington Spirit jersey, things like that. How important are moments like that for women's sports? And that's just one example. Obviously, there's other, crossovers. But how important to you as a female athlete is it to support other leagues or maybe even other sports?
Gosh, so important. I think our community just needs to grow and grow and grow. I'm super fortunate in that. So I played for Athletes Unlimited, but I also worked for Athletes Unlimited. So I got to be at the Athletes Unlimited basketball seasons, the softball seasons, and I got to go to an Unrivaled game as well down in Miami. Like, I just think that they're the coolest people ever. And like, they're also fighting the big fight and that like, we're here to make a statement and to like show people how awesome we are at our sports. And be marketable and dynamic and, doing all this media coverage and things. But I think that it is so important. It's also so fun just to meet other women athletes and be like, I don't know, I respect you so much. Like, I think you're so cool. And then they come to our games and like, we think you're so cool. And I'm like, yeah, man, we are. Let's like keep this going. It's a special moment in time, I think, too. We can all see how excited we are for our own respective sports, but then like uplifting each other's in any way we can, like, absolutely. I'm on board with that 100%.
Yeah, I love that. On that note, are there any female athletes that have inspired you, maybe outside of volleyball, that you've either watched their journey and been inspired or you're just a fan of their game?
Oh, I love that question. I'm gonna shout out one of my best friends, actually. Her name is Sam Fisher. She just retired. She's a softball player. And she is just one of those athletes that takes her job very, very seriously. She puts in a lot of hard work, but at the same time, when she gets on the field, she's just like so positive. Like everybody loves playing with her. Like she's just an electric energy and like the best teammate ever. I have never seen someone balance that seriousness and that like lightheartedness so well. And she got to the top of her game, and now she is working for Athletes Unlimited as well. And she's just somebody that I look up to as both a friend and an athlete.
Awesome. So important to have those influential athletes and women around you, right? Okay, one other question. Who would be maybe like a celebrity that you would love to see at Love Austin's matches next year?
I'm going to shout out Matthew McConaughey. He lives here in Austin. So I think you need to be at our games. It's kind of wild that you're not. Okay, I'm going to call you out.
There you go. Okay, now he's going to show up and you're going to take the credit for it. I love that. Well, as we wrap up, I just want to shout out again, congratulations on a major accolade, winning the first ever championship for Love Volleyball. Oh, and I wanted to ask you, remind everybody where all the Love clubs are.
Well, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. So LA, Austin, Atlanta, anywhere there's a pro team, Madison, Omaha, Salt Lake, there's some in Kansas City. They're like, where there is club volleyball, I bet you there's a Love club as well.
Very cool. Very cool. And now that you're in the off season, we'll let you relax and maybe take a deep breath and then let it out, because I'm sure you're right back into it. But what does your off season look like, and when do you kind of get rolling again with the squad?
Yeah, so in about 2 weeks, I'll head to Anaheim and start training with the national team. So that'll be most of the summer, and then I'll get maybe a tiny break before I start Athletes Unlimited. That is in the fall. And then right after AU, I roll into the Love Austin season. So I'm back here in Austin in November. So not much of an off season, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Love it. Again, there it is. The life of a female athlete doing it all. I hope you get a little bit of a break, and I hope you get to celebrate with your teammates a massive championship. And Molly, it's just been really fun to get to know your journey and get to know you a little bit, and your impact on volleyball in the United States is undeniable. So just really proud of you. Keep going. Really excited to know that although you took a pause, you went right back to fulfilling your dream of playing professional volleyball here, and even in your hometown, which is so cool. So thank you so much for your time today. We certainly appreciate it.
Thanks, Jillian. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that was Molly McCage. Check her out on Instagram, all the places. And if you're not following Love Volleyball yet, you're missing out. So check them out. It's LOVB, Love Volleyball, or League One Volleyball. And also, while you're at it, swing by and rate our show, Sports and Shenanigans, whether it be on YouTube or you're listening to your podcasts or even on Instagram. But we appreciate you supporting women's sports. So hang out with us next week. But for now, that's all. We'll see you guys later.